Hi, this is Osman. I'm a master level energy healer specializing in terminal illnesses, critical care recovery, and also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher. And be sure to visit my website yogawellness786.com for more information on my services as well as contact information. Also remember, our therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. If you have a medical condition, be sure to consult with a qualified and licensed medical practitioner in your locality. I want to discuss the question on the mystical aspects of mantra in its traditional understanding, right? So I've always spoken of mantras as, something that like an incantation that can make you feel positive and so forth. But from the origins of the word mantra and the origins of its understanding, what people normally understand it to be, it's understood to be some incantation of a combination of sounds and words that have a unique combination and said to bring about or give the reciter certain powers, right? So to give you a broader understanding, potentially from that traditional perspective in terms of getting a power, a mystical power from a particular mantra, there is, I would say, possibly in my opinion, 33 million such mantras, right? So many, but they are kept, most of them are kept secret or lost with time. And if you visit certain teachers who specialize in this, they do have these mantras, and there are certain books that are available that have some of these mantras that you may be interested in, in a written format. So all mantras come with a diagram, right? So it will have a certain type of diagram designed in a way that if you carve it out, maybe in a small copper plate, and you recite your mantra, so it collects the power of the mantra as well. As you're advancing in your repetition and incantation, it collects in the diagram, and the people normally fold it into a roll, they put it in a little tube and they wear it around the neck or or inside, right? So just to keep intact the diagram of them, because the mantra, and you have the physical form of the mantra in a diagrammatical form called the tantra, but it also has a so-called deity or powerful entity that looks humanoid, right? But they may have 4 hands, 10 hands, or multiple heads and so forth. Some may look very fierce, some may look very pleasant, but they have a certain exact, precise, form that is, they have pictures of what it would look like, right? So the people who teach, especially in India, if you go searching for mantra books, and if you go especially to, I think the people that are very much into mantras is, or reputed to be very deeply into mantras, is in the state of Kerala in India, right? So if you go there, that is said to be the heart of Ayurvedic medicine, right? So of course you'll gain a lot of benefit from the Ayurvedic medicine and which herbs, are beneficial, for what ailments and so forth. It's a big science. There is a university that teaches that science, totally. But the mantras, you can get those books from there, or maybe you can go online and search, and you will find it will come with the combination as well as a diagram as well as a deity that has an identity, right? It looks in a certain way. So to give you like just a few examples, just 1 or 2 examples, you can get a mantra for wealth, which a lot of people want, or a mantra for education, right? To be able to make the acquisition of knowledge, very easy for you, and you can get vast levels of very deep understanding and knowledge, right? So there's a certain mantra and a deity that if you recite it in a certain way and a certain count, then you will gain the power of that mantra incrementally, until the maturation of that mantra is when you will be able to view the deity aspect or the form of the mantra like a angelic form, so to speak. Because it could be a demonic form also, depending which mantra it is, right? You will view that deity, like face to face. You'll see with your, although it may seem like you are seeing with your naked eye. You're not, because anyone else who's around you will not be able to see what you are seeing. So you are seeing with your third eye, or your inner eye, or perhaps through your heart, right? That you are able to see this, when you gain the success of that mantra. And then you will gain the powers that is stated that one gains with that mantra. And it will just give you a higher dispensation towards these objects of what you desire, in accordance to what the mantra is offering. It's not suddenly something is going to appear in front of you, from it. It's just you gain the power to be able to gain these objects of your desire that much easier, making it easier for you to, gain them, in my opinion and experience of this. And like some of the more frightening aspects would be, you get some mantras like that shows forms that are looking very like fear personified, right? And when you meet these entity fear personified, there is nothing on this earth that you will be afraid of after that, because you've seen fear personified, the most fearsome, and after that everything else becomes fearless, right? Everything else is inferior to the height of what fear personified could be, right? And you gain powers of strength and victory and so forth, right? So are these people say, is it true? Do you believe that this is true, and so forth? Firstly, I've met people who's very advanced in it, and also being in yoga sciences, and since mantra is a very integral part of yoga sciences, it has a lot of power. Just that because you as a regular person without any discipline, you just want slap, pop, the power must be in you. It's not going to happen, right? Because this thing takes a long time to, and people dedicate a lot of time towards increasing their power in these mantras, and they increase it incrementally. I don't think if someone is reciting it 24/7 for the whole lifetime, that they can even reach the peak. But you can reach very advanced levels, right? Where you are face to face in front of the entity. If you go and learn these mantras from the right person, right? And he gives you that mantra together with it, because you can't just go online and try to recite it. It's theoretically not supposed to work. You have to get it from someone, and from an authoritative source the source has the power of the mantra himself. And when he tells it to you, you get not only the mantra, you get it together with the power of the mantra, right? And then when you recite it, you will start enjoying the power of it, right? And have I had any such experiences myself? Yes, I had, right? Have I seen entities, divine entities and so forth, in the maturation of the recipe? Yes, I have. And fortunately, I didn't. There was one, entity entity that was very beautiful, right? It was like, out of this world, right? It was a male entity, but now I looked at the end, it looks like a girl. That's so beautiful. It was very pretty. So it was funny for me, in that aspect. I said, oh, this entity looks very pretty, right? So what did they say? And so it never like appeared like a human as they speak, but spoke in the language of the higher dimensions. They speak by thought, right? So it's like they download. So you ask, when you're meeting higher frequency entities, right? You immediately know, because their appearance, there's no difference between the name and the appearance, right? You know who they are, because the appearance, it's like I'm saying I'm Osman, but if I was a higher entity, I didn't have to say it. You just suddenly, you don't know how you know I'm Osman. You saw me, suddenly, though, this is Osman. I never tell you I'm Osman, right? So you will know, like that when you meet these higher entities, you just know who they are. And also because you have certain knowledge and understanding, and education, because Jnana Yoga, or increasing your knowledge, you have to have certain theoretical knowledge to be able to, identify, which are helpful entities and which are harmful entities, right? And I don't try to distinguish. I try to, always be careful. And it was something that, I'm now 50 years in practice. Of course, curiosity killed the cat. So you think curiosity will not get the better of me? Of course, it got the better of me. I went into this, and I went into very deep practices and this thing. But fortunately, I learned through people that imparted the power of it as well. So it made it easy for me, to progress on it, not from scratch. And so I belong, or I attest to, a particular faith, right? A religious faith. And I stick to what is within my religious faith. So if you're a Christian, for example, and you will do incantations, of what is within the ambit of your faith, and not step. But does it stop you or preclude you from experimenting outside? No, you can experiment, but don't get lost in it, right? Or if you want to change your faith, it's up to you. You are free, right? It's a free. Everyone has got the freedom of mind, if not the freedom of body, right? You may be restricted in your body, but who can restrain your mind? No one can chain your mind or restrict your mind. Can do what it wants, right? And your heart can, believe in what your heart wants to believe. No one can go inside and stop that, right? So it's up to you. So coming back to these mantras and so forth, that maybe you may be. So these are some of the guidelines. It will have the incantations of words. It must have a historical, and you must have a lot of people that confirms that this is powerful, and it must be someone who can impart it to you, who's got the power of it. It generally will have a diagram. It may have a double triangle with a lot of alphabets in it and so forth, that type of diagram. And it will have a deity form of of what it looks like on the maturation, right? And it will have a certain goal, a certain powers, and that's the reason for incanting, or reciting these things. So you can search, now that we have internet, and you're able to find everything on the internet, and you can find a teacher who can impart these things to you, and who's qualified in that, right, in that level, and teach it to you and teach you the rules of it and how you can progress in it. And I have studied that level as well, and I can teach you the basic rules as well, in progressing, in that science. But generally the books will come with the rules, and each one, they have like a general standardized type of rules, but they also have the specific, requirements and restrictions, right? So for example, there are certain wealth mantras, the goddess of wealth, and the restriction is that you have to be always absolutely clean in your hygiene, having, with clean clothes, and having a bath regularly, at least daily, and washing head to toe, right? And also your diet has to be strictly vegetarian diet, right? And there are some you can eat meat, certain meats, maybe only meat sacrificed to the deity, right? And there are some where you can also have alcohol. They offer alcohol to these deities, and when you consume that, you get the blessings of that deity. It's not like normal alcohol, so it helps in the advancement of your power, in those, to give you a broad outline on the requirements and restrictions and rules of the various mantras. Then generally, in repetition, if you're going to repeat them, they normally work in thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. Right? So the minimum that one needs to incant, generally speaking, right? Not always. Some you can incant it only once, or 3 times, or 100 times, or whatever the rule is. But generally speaking, to do a set that is considered one singular set is usually in the mantra sciences 1008. Why that odd number, I don't know, right? So some people do 1,000, but it's in the rule books they say 1,008. So usually they have rosaries of 108. So 108 times 10 is not 1,008, it's 1,080, right? So 72 short of 1,008. So you have to find a way how to reach 1,008 and stick to that as one set. So if you're incanting, I'm just saying the general rule, right? If you're incanting 1,008, you have to do it at least once a day, right? 1 unit once a day. And if you miss any day in between, then all the ones that you did previously, you lose. And you will start from 0 again. So each and every day you have to make sure, you stick to it, or else you will lose it. But once you reach a set of 10,000, mean 10 days, right? 10,080, right? So when you reach 10,080, then that locks into you, and you will not lose it. So if you take a break for a few days, you will not lose that. So every 10 days, you must keep that 10-day cycle, and then after, if you're going to take a break after the 10, so you don't lose it. So it locks that. And then every set of 100,000, 10 sets of those 10,080 coming to 100,000. So it's not 100,000, 100,800. It's not that. It's just 100,000. They come to 100,000. And why that is, I don't know, right? But I'm just giving the general rule. So when you reach 100,000, you go one increment or level up. You get some small power level, incremental power that gets conferred to you. What that is, even the books on the mantra do not describe, what exactly. But be sure, every 100,000 you're getting some incremental power, and then you do the next 100,000, the next 100,000, next. So some people who are reciting these mantras strive for 100,000 per day. So you may find that some of the incantations are long, that just to do 1,000 is going to take you like maybe over an hour. So 10,000 is going to take you, 10 hours, and 100,000 is going to take you, 100 hours, right? So how are you going to do 100,000 in one day? So when you're doing the incantation, you get a certain power. You get the power of speed. So it's not that you should, the importance of every word and syllable and alphabet that is in the mantra needs to be pronounced clear, right? But you get the speed that it becomes so fast. I heard someone in a matter of few seconds recite a long mantra that is, 108 times. It sounded like that, right? But in them, because the speed of the mind is faster, the mind was on every alphabet, and they were saying it so fast, it went through the tongue so fast, it twisted so fast, we could hardly hear it. So maybe if we recorded it and slowed the speed down, you can hear each syllable, clearly. So they get the power or the gift of being able to recite it fast with time, and not a very long time, but if you're getting the mantra from an empowered person, then within a few weeks or months, I would say within a few months, you'll start gaining, the higher levels. But as you're practicing on a daily basis, you do gain speed, right, in reciting those. So these are some of the general rules on the mystical, ancient, traditional mantras. Hope that information helps you. Take care.